everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Rulla Alani, and today I will be answering one of your questions that was sent via email, and it's how to date during a pandemic like COVID. So if you're interested, keep on watching. The email reads, so I was just accepted onto the dating app The League, and I'm going to be starting my Luxy application this weekend. I've been single all year because of quarantine. I wanted to keep myself safe and figured dating would be difficult. Now I'm eager to meet someone after working on myself, landing a great job, starting my business, and just overall feeling like I'm in the perfect headspace to meet a quality man. Well, wow, it seems like you've really done a lot this year, so kudos to you, honey. However, we're still in a pandemic. Any advice for navigating online dating in these times? Would you recommend? Date ideas, do's and don'ts? I want to make sure I start off strong, and I know you're the perfect person to ask. Aww. Love your content, beautiful. So many women adore and appreciate you. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate you so much, darling. Thank you for submitting your question. And first off, congratulations. Wow, it seems like you have had such a successful year in the midst of this pandemic, and that is just all the reason to congratulate you. So congrats. And also, I hope that your online dating journey has been off to a wonderful start. So before we get started, I want you all to know that I'm still accepting question submissions in 2021. So if you'd like me to answer one of your questions in a future video, then check out the description below, and I have the instructions listed down there. So first off, let's just discuss how COVID has changed dating in general. For everyone, COVID has forced us to slow down. And I personally think it could be something beneficial, especially when it comes to dating. I think that in our world, dating tends to be rushed. We tend to make decisions very quick about whether we're interested in someone or not. And usually after a date or two, we're kind of ready to either pass them on or, continue dating them. So I think we live in a generation where everything is so fast, so accelerated. We want to meet the right person tonight. And COVID has actually forced us to slow down, because the people who were serial daters before, who were dating like 3, 4, 5 people at once, now don't have the same opportunity to do that. So now they're actually getting to know the people that they're talking to in a more in-depth way. So I technically think that COVID could be beneficial for dating, because you actually have the time to slow down and get to know them. Instead of being rushed and in this mindset like, oh, we only have this weekend and then we'll have to wait till next weekend, we're kind of all on pause, right? Life is kind of on pause with COVID. So we know that we have all the time in the world, really, to get to know someone. So we don't need to jump the gun. We don't need to move too fast sexually or emotionally. We can take our time and we can be more selective, right? Because when we have more time, we have the patience to make calculated decisions. We're not just making rash decisions out of desire or lust, but we're actually thinking things through. So before, we were bombarded with things to do, people to see, places to go, right? But now that we don't have those options, we're forced to slow down. We're forced to actually gain an awareness for who we're talking to, for the person who is in our inbox in the dating app, for example, right? Instead of rushing for physical intimacy or, just wanting things so fast, wanting things to progress right off the bat. You go on a date and you're already thinking this person, you're going to take their last name, right? With COVID, we're actually slowing down and we're actually dating in a more traditional way, because we're not seeing the other person, right? Or maybe we're not seeing them as often. Maybe we're not seeing them in a traditional setting. Maybe we're seeing them on Zoom or whatever the case may be. But I do just want to highlight that there is a silver lining in this, right? Dating has changed in a better way with COVID. I know there has been a lot of downsides too, but I just want to highlight that there have been little silver linings in the midst of all the darkness of COVID. So now we can actually get to know people based on who they are instead of being rushed to have sex. As you guys know, I am a huge advocate for putting off sex, for waiting until you're ready, whether that's marriage, whether that's when you're in a long-term committed happy relationship. I have videos where I talk about my thoughts on sex before marriage and casual sex. I'll link it up here. But in a nutshell, I do believe that when we put off sex for a later time, we're able to make more calculated decisions and we're able to stay logical. Because let's be real, sex does complicate things. Sex brings up a lot of hormones and a lot of different emotions that can skew the way you look at someone and the way you feel about someone. So a lot of times what ends up happening is women will become physical with a man prematurely when they haven't really gotten to know him yet. They haven't really understood his character, what he brings to the table, his goals, those sorts of things. And instead they've rushed physical intimacy, and what happens is then the man backs off because he feels like this was just a casual hookup, and the woman feels like she's done something wrong, when really it's just bound for a catastrophe, right? Unless you guys are both on the same page that, you know, this is just strictly for fun, then I would always say delay the intimacy. That's always gonna be your best bet. And with COVID, it kind of helps us put off intimacy because we're not seeing other people as often. So what do I believe that you should be doing right now as a single lady during COVID? Well, I believe you should be using this time to download all the dating apps you've ever been interested in. So I'm glad you joined the league, and also Luxy. Take the time to actually respond to the people who have messaged you on those apps. I know so many women who have an inbox full of messages, but then they don't even respond to anyone. You guys, we both have to do our part in this. Dating is a collaborative process, right? When someone messages you, at least just give them the decency of responding, okay? So take the time to respond to messages you receive. Take the time to swipe on the app, right? However many swipes you get per day, use them all, because that's going to increase your chances of meeting someone. On top of online dating, if you are interested in someone more than just in a friendly manner, then exchange numbers. Why not kind of take the relationship to the next level? Start texting, start talking on the phone, maybe have a FaceTime date. I've heard so many people really get creative with COVID. I know some people were having like movie dates, like they would both put the same movie on Netflix and FaceTime or Zoom each other, so it was as if they were watching the movie together. I know people who have had dinner dates where they were both on Zoom and they both cooked up a meal or got takeout and were just enjoying it as if it was a date. So just try to be creative. Make the most of the situation. Even if it's like, oh, let's have a happy hour on Zoom. It's like, why not, right? It's better than just always waiting for, oh, let's just wait for the virus to go, or let's wait for things to open up, right? There are things we can do in the meantime to connect with people, to make those bonds and to create those relationships so that further down the line we can potentially start a relationship. Other fun ideas for FaceTime dates: you could make a vision board together. You guys could have like a wine and cheese night. You could have like a movie popcorn night. You could do so many different things. Once again, I do believe that the man should be initiating these things. Now, I think it's completely appropriate for a woman to throw out ideas, but I think first the man should say, hey, are you available for a FaceTime chat like this day and this time? And then the woman could always say, yeah, like, what do you want to do? Would you like to make vision boards or watch a movie or something? So I think the woman should always suggest ideas, but I believe the man should be the one to schedule the date. Whether it's a FaceTime date, whether it's an in-person date, men should take the initiative, and that will always be my view on this topic. Although it's not a traditional date, the man still needs to be putting in effort, guys. You are the prize, and if a man is not treating you as if you're the prize now during the pandemic, well, what makes you think it'll change when the city opens up, right? So notice that guys who are truly interested in you will make that extra effort during COVID, regardless of restrictions, regardless of the hurdles, because they're genuinely interested in you. If he's not putting in the effort now, well then imagine when things are open and he has way more access to parties and girls and going out and all that, that definitely means that he wasn't right for you. So if someone isn't investing in you now and putting in the time and the effort now, then that probably means that they're not someone to be waiting around for COVID to be over, because they're just not a good match for you in general. COVID should not stop gentlemen from being gentlemen. A man could still drop off flowers to your door. A man could still order takeout for you. A man could still schedule sweet things for you without being, next to you in person, without seeing you. Men can get around this. So women, stop making excuses for men, okay? Men know the tricks, and if a man is very interested in a woman, he'll do all the tricks he can to get her attention. So don't make excuses for him. Don't say, well, it's COVID, or but, it's different nowadays with the pandemic. No, there are men still making the effort, still sending the roses and the chocolates, still trying to show up as a gentleman, even though there's a pandemic. They're still doing that because they care. They care regardless of what's going on in the world. They want to show that woman in their life that they care for them. And I'd also just like to make a comment regarding your email. Like, I love that before you even mentioned that you were going to join dating apps and that you were looking to date, you talked about yourself and what's going on with you. That already tells me that you're a mature woman. It shows me that I'm like 99% sure you're gonna find a quality man, because you have done the inner work. You've done the personal self-development. You've worked on you. So now it's time to share your life with someone else. So I just really want to make that comment that I'm very proud that you're not just seeking someone to fill your cup or to be your other half, but you're already entering this relationship as a full individual with a business, with a mind of gold, with all these things to offer, and you're only bringing value to the table. So that definitely means that the man in your life is going to need to bring the same amount to the table, if not more. Now, depending on your city, some places do allow distanced meetings. I know some restaurants are open outdoors, so going out in person is really up to you. I'm not going to make that call. I'm not going to say you should or you should not. It really depends. If you're coming into contact with people who are immunocompromised and have asthma and, just unfortunate health circumstances that make them more susceptible to COVID, then definitely not. But I mean, if you live alone, or if you and the person are both comfortable to take that risk and maybe, just do it safely with masks and using all the precautions, then that's your choice. I'm not going to say do it. I'm not going to say don't do it. It really depends on where you're living, what the regulations are there, and what you and the other individual decide, right? Never force someone to get together with you. Never make someone feel pressured. I know right now with COVID, everyone has a different kind of level of worry about it. I know some people are like not leaving their homes at all. Some people are more comfortable going outdoors. So just communicate, be transparent, and be honest, because you never want to force someone into a situation or pressure them to meet up when they're not comfortable doing so. I also want to mention that you should take time in between dates with different people. Now, I have mentioned in another video, which I'll link up here, should you date multiple men at the same time? Well, I'll let you decide what you think my answer would be. But in the case that you are dating multiple people, which I don't recommend during COVID, please just give them the respect and the courtesy of like spreading out the dates, right? I don't believe you should be going on more than one date with more than one person in a matter of a few weeks. You should definitely space out your dates so you ensure that you didn't catch COVID, so you ensure that you're not anti-symptomatic, so you ensure that you're keeping the community safe, okay? So I recommend only dating one person at a time if you're gonna date during this time, during COVID. But if you are going to date multiple people, just do so safely and spread out the dates. Please communicate with the person and make sure that you're both comfortable. Do you feel okay holding hands? Are you comfortable hugging, kissing, etc., right? All of these things should be discussed because once again, we're in a pandemic. It's not just normal times, right? So you want to make sure that both people feel comfortable, especially on a first date or when you're first getting to know someone, right? Because you never want to overstep their boundaries. And I wrote this little segment that I want to read off to you guys. Overall, I think COVID has definitely changed our world. With that comes an entirely new landscape for dating. This really is the time to online date, refine your profile, and chat more with potentials than you usually would. Remember, nothing should stop you from finding love. Nothing. Nothing should stop you from finding love. Not COVID, not 2020, nothing. We are all worthy and capable of finding love, even in the midst of a global pandemic. Do not use the virus as an excuse to isolate yourself or feel pity or shame for being single. Continue to work on you. Be open to meeting matches, both virtually, possibly in person, if you are comfortable with 6 feet distancing, of course. At the end of the day, although I can't advise you yes or no about whether you should date, whether you should meet in person, all I can do is give you my personal experience and some tips. I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that online dating proves to be successful for you. I'd love to hear how you've been navigating it so far. Have you decided to meet with any of these men that you've been talking to? Have you not? I'd even love to literally have you on YouTube with me. We could do a Zoom call. Maybe you could tell me about your experiences so far. I really want to hear from you guys and your experience on Lexi. I know a lot of people have been joining Lexi this past year in 2020, and I've been getting a lot of messages about people setting up their profiles and going on dates. So I'm just really excited to communicate with you guys and find out how it's been going for you guys. I hope it's been successful, and I hope that 2021 brings us more hope and more love always. Remember, life changes when we look at it differently, right? We don't need to wait for this virus to end. We can adapt, right? We can adapt to these new circumstances, and potentially it could be a blessing in disguise. Maybe now it's easier to see who really loves us for us. It's easy to see who's willing to jump through hurdles and figure out dating during COVID, right? So knowing that dating right now, although it's weird and it's this new thing that we're all figuring out, it can be a blessing, and I hope that we can all view it in this light, because it's always better to look at things from a positive view, right? When we look at things from a positive view, we can see what we can gain from this experience rather than what we have to lose. So that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Mwah.